Risk and the Liney eating eraser. Deep inside a very old sheet of Line notebook paper lay the city of Linus. Everything in this world was made of marks. Straight, curved, thick, thin, in every color you could imagine. Houses were rectangles topped with triangular roofs, trees were circles perched on long straight lines, and every day these sticky figures would come out to play ball with a perfect circle, draw soft fluffy clouds, and smile, every smile a caveat its own. Happiest of them all was Risk. He was small, one arm a little shorter than the other, his legs never perfectly straight, and in place of a mouth there was only a thin, faint little line. While everyone else tried to draw their marks as close to perfect as possible, Risk loved crooked lines best. That was exactly what he was doing, off in one corner, drawing a flower with petals all different sizes, when a sound coochie right through the air. The air grew heavy. Sliding slowly but steadily in from the top right corner came the line-eating eraser. It was enormous, square-shaped, solid gray with rounded edges, no face, no eyes, no mouth. Wherever it touched, nothing remained. Streets turned smooth and blunky. Houses vanished as if they'd never had been there at all. Even the sticky figures themselves, once touched, faded away little by little, line by line, leaving only empty white space behind. Before long, half the city was gone. People ran in every direction, terrified they would be next. Risk stood still, clutching his pencil, tippy stuffy tight against his chest, watching the monster ever closer. Then, quietly, but with every beat of strength inside him, he sighed, "If everyone runs away, it will erase everything. I have to stop it." Risk ran diagonally across the page, straight toward danger, the opposite way from everyone else. But halfway there he stopped dead, heart pounding. Ahead of him the ground was gone completely. The eraser had swept through and wiped it all away. A huge bottomless white gash, and a bee's made of nothing but blanky paper. It was too easy to jump. It stretched from edge to edge of the sheet, so there was no way around it either. Worse still, that terrible sound started up again behind him. The monster was drawing near, and with every pass the empty chasm grew a little wider, creeping right toward him. Risk was trapped. Then, almost by accident, he lifted his pencil staffy and made a quick motion through the air. A thick solid line appeared out of nowhere. Risk blinked. He drew two more slanted lines, side-by-side menus, and instantly they became steps. His eyes lit up. At last he understood what that little piece of wood really was. Not a weapon, but the power to create. One line. "And we have ground. Two lines, and we have a way," he whispered, already drawing as fast as his hand could move. He laid a long beam all the way across the gap, added more steps on the far side, and sprinted across the path he had just brought into being. Behind him, no sooner had his feet left each spot than the eraser rolled over and wiped away his very own bridge, stroke by stroke. Risk never looked back. He just kept running. Further on the air grew dark, woven from heavy black strokes. Out from the body of the eraser rose towering shapes. Shadows shaped like sticky figures, tall and powerful, completely faceless, moving with stiff mechanical motions. They were the monster's guardians. They copied everything Risk did. If he raised his right arm, they raised their toe, only twice as big. If he stepped forward, they advanced 2 paces. The harder Risk tried to fight, to run, to defend himself, the larger and stronger they became. He was worn out, pressed back against the very edge of the page, when he suddenly stopped struggling altogether. He took a deep breath. And then he did something no one would have expected. He started to dance. He moved his arms slowly, making waves in the air. He took a wobbly step sideways. He tilted his head, and that thin little lining in place of a mouth curved upward for the very first shimmy into a genuine smile, and the shadows did exactly the same. They danced right along with him. And as they moved, they shrank, grew lighter, softer, until they were no longer monsters at all. They were just ordinary shadows, small, harmless, resting gently on the paper, exactly like anyone's shadow. Risk understood it all in that moment. "I see now. You were only biggie because I was afraid. Once I play with you, you have no power left at all." The shadows faded away completely. And as the air cleared once more, Risk lifted his face menus and found himself face to face with the eraser. Up close, larger than anything he had ever seen in his life. Risk looked tiny beside it. The great gray mass lowered itself slowly, trying to roll over him and wipe him ouchie for good. Risk leaped aside, drew a thick wow match of 3 strong linies. The eraser glided straight over it and it was gone in a blink. He drew a Honji shield. It vanished just as fast. He magi swords, spears, barriers reaching all the way to the toppy edge of the page. And absolutely nothing worked. Everything he built oucha forasi, anger or ashi, the monster erased a split second. He was nearly out of strength now, huddled in the lowest corner of the sheet with barely any room left to move, when a deep, rumbling voice, sounding exactly like paper being torn very slowly, Menos drifted ouchi from the grey shapi. Why draw anything at all? Why have different lines, crooked curves, colors that don't even match? None of it lasts long. I erase it all. Everything becomes the same. Everything becomes white, and white is forever. Risk lowered his stuffy. Anger drained slowly out of him, his heartbeat steadied. He looked all around, at the few faint strokes still left of his city, at the wobbly bridge he had drawn, the prints of his own steps, the little flower he had magi right at the start, even though it was already half rubbed away. Then he looked straight back at the monster, fearless at las. You are wrong, you can erase the lines, but you can never erase the fact that they were already there. And one more thing. Blanky white space is not the end. Blanky white space is simply where everything begins. Music changes completely. Gentle, sweet, swelling softly. Only the quiet sound of pencil gliding on paper. Risk did not raise his staff to strike. He built new weapons, raised new walls, never tried to push the monster away. Instead, he began to draw. Very slowly, exactly in his own way, he drew a circle. And it glowed bright yellow. He drew a triangle, lopsided on one side. And it glowed clear blue. He drew a star with points of all different lengths, glowing vivid red. He drew a heart bigger on one side than the other, a flower, a soft cloud, a tiny sun in the corner. Purple, green, orange, pink. Every mark a different color. Every color shining bright. Nothing was perfect. Nothing was perfectly straight, but every single line held a little piece of him. Little glowing lights drifted upward one by one, floating until they wrapped all the way around the eraser. The monster trembled. It tried to rub them ouchie. It tried to roll over them. But it could not, because those lights were never just ink on paper. They were joy. They were kari. They were story, and that is something no one ever can truly erase. The giant gray form shrank and shrank again, its deep gray tonic turning pali and lychee, until in the end it was a monster no longer. It was just a small, ordinary eraser, the kind fitted to the end of a pencil. Quiet, harmless. Good now for only what erasers are truly meant to do. Rub out the things we get wrong so we can try again more gently this chimney. Lychee spread across the whole sheet of paper. Little by little the city of Linus came back. But it did not return exactly as it had been before. Now there were many more curves. Many more crooked lines. Many more colors, each one different from the next. Nobody wanted to be just the perfect, standard-shaped stroke anymore. Everyone had finally learned the lesson Risk had brought them. All these cheeky figures gathered together in the middle of the page. Risk stood right in the center. Small, still a little wobbly, leaned, pencil staff in hand. That thin line of a mouth now curved Ouija into an enormous smile. Beside him rested the little eraser, kept close and used with great kari. And so it was that everyone learned, once and for all. The finest lining in all the world is never the straightest, never the strongest, never the most perfect. It is the lining drawn with heart. Te aga e end.